Alright, hello guys, Salt here. Welcome to the video. Today we're going to be going over the Alternox. Now in this video series I take a weapon, I build it out, and I test that weapon on its own merits, meaning I don't mix it with any kind of external factors like Warframe abilities, Warframes getting kills, pets putting statuses on, things like that. I just test the weapon by itself. So today is the Alternox. So the Alternox is a primary weapon. It's kind of like an assault rifle, but it shoots these like little electrical pellets that have like an okay amount of travel time. I mean, they're pretty quick, but they're not like it's not like hit scan. So let's get into here. I have a blank setup here just so I can show the innate things about this weapon. So the innate things about this weapon are going to be that it comes with electric without even having to have anything on it. The other innate thing that is not shown on here, and you can only really find this out if you look at the wiki, is that this weapon actually has infinite punch through. So, normally when I use a fire rate mod, I usually use things like Prime Shred because punch through really helps with single target weapons. But you actually don't need this on this weapon. You can use a better fire rate mod because this weapon, again, the innate thing is going to have infinite punch through. So, comes with electricity, comes with infinite punch through, and then it also has a little unique trait where it has an alternate fire basically. So it shoots a little sphere, lasts for 10 seconds, and it's going to apply its statuses. It's going to like do tick damage, and it's going to apply whatever status you put on the weapon to enemies within its radius, and then it's going to explode. It's going to do very poor damage. It doesn't do very good damage, but it does apply statuses, so that you do have that going for it. Okay, let's go into config A where the actual build is, and I'm going to just go back and come back in. That way my little sheet here is clear. Okay, so for the mods we're going to be using on this weapon, we're going to be going with Galvanized Chamber for multi-shot. We're going to be going for Galvanized Aptitude for status chance and direct damage per status type affecting the target. Now, something else about this weapon and Galvanized Aptitude specifically is Galvanized Aptitude on most weapons in the game is additive damage, but on a few specific weapons, it's multiplicative damage. The Alternox is one of those cases where Galvanized Aptitude applies multiplicative damage instead of additive. And so Galvanized Aptitude is very strong in this weapon, so that definitely should be used. In the next slot here, we're going to use Hunter Munitions. Now, I typically don't like using Hunter Munitions on assault rifles. Hey, Exerts! How are you doing today? I typically don't like using Hunter Munitions on assault rifles because on like high DPS but low damage weapons, you get small slash procs. So they're almost unnoticeable, like as far as the damage goes. But on this weapon, we're going to go back to Galvanized Aptitude here. The more statuses you can apply, the more direct damage you get. And again, that damage is multiplicative on this weapon specifically because of Galvanized Aptitude. And so, you get the normal thing you normally get out of Hunter Munitions, which is a few slash procs. They're not going to do significant damage on this weapon because of, it not being a huge alpha damage weapon. But it adds another status, which is going to add another 80% damage. And that 80% damage is going to be multiplicative. And that's why that's why we're using Hunter Munitions here. If that was not the case, Serration would probably beat it out just because, 165 flat damage is better than the 80 flat damage you would get from an extra slash proc. But because this is multiplicative, we're using Hunter Munitions here. Okay, in the next slot here, we're going to be going for Vial Acceleration. And again, normally for fire rate mods, we're using Prime Shred. But because this weapon has innate infinite punch through, there's no reason to use Prime Shred. So instead of a 55% fire rate, we can use a 90% fire rate. I mean, obviously bigger number means better. Now, the negative damage, don't worry too much about that. That is flat damage. So So for instance, this says negative 15% damage. The arcane we're using is going to give us 360% flat damage. So I mean, 360% minus 15 is not that big of a deal. So don't worry too much about the minus 15% damage. Okay, and these next slots here, these are easy ones. It's just going to be our crit chance and crit damage mods. Now, something about the crit I did test, because I a lot of times like to use Galvanized Scope, because Galvanized Scope will typically, when you mix Scope and Critical Delay, it usually gets you into like really like higher crit tiers. You know, it'll, if you were at yellows, it's going to get you into oranges and whatnot. Now on this weapon, it does not do that. So if you use Critical Delay and Galvanized Scope, you're going to be in full yellow crits, which this current build without Galvanized Scope is almost full yellow. You're going to get some white non-crits, but you're almost into full yellow. So adding Galvanized Scope, I mean, it puts you into full yellow, but it's not worth an entire mod slot. So that's why we're not using Galvanized Scope. Now, there is an option that you can do here. Instead of using Critical Delay, you can use Galvanized Scope, because technically, if you look at Critical Delay, it's 200% critical chance, sorry. And if we look at Scope, it's 120 critical chance, and then 40 times 5, that's 200, so 320. So technically, Galvanized Scope will get you at a higher crit chance than just having Critical Delay. But you're still not in full yellows. And with Galvanized Scope instead of Critical Delay, you have the conditionals. You have to like really be trying to get headshots. It's not that difficult to get headshots with this weapon. So that's why this is an option. Like you could put Galvanized Scope over Critical Delay. But it's a little bit comfier with just Critical Delay because you never have to worry about your Galvanized Scope stacks falling off, and then you know you're doing piss poor damage at that point. But that's up to you. If you feel like you can always be at 5 stacks of Galvanized Scope, you will get more out of Galvanized Scope in this slot over Critical Delay. Vital Sense, easy. This is just crit damage. That's a simple one. And then for the last 2 mods here, we're just going to go viral. We're going to go Toxin and Cold to make viral. If you don't have the primed cryo rounds, go with the 60-60 Cold mod. Don't go with the 90. The 90 Cold mod is a little bit too much of an in-between. It doesn't give you enough flat damage to actually increase the damage by a significant amount, and it doesn't give any status. So like you either go for the 60-60 that gives you status, or you go with the primed one that gives you a shitload of flat damage. So yeah, we're just going to go viral there. On Whispers content, remember that enemies are resistant and immune to viral. So on Whispers, you actually want to go Corrosive instead. Now, if you go Corrosive, it is going to switch your build slightly because you start with Electricity, so you can actually get Corrosive by just putting 1 mod on. So you have an extra slot at that point to use for something else, and that would be up to you. Maybe even just Serration would be a simple option just for dumb flat damage to add on at that point. Terminal Velocity for projectile speed, because the bullets do have, or bullets, pellets, whatever it shoots out, they do have travel time, so this is just going to help. And then Primary Deadhead for the Arcane, for just a 360% flat damage increase. Negative weapon recoil, which I like on this weapon because this weapon does have recoil, and I tried using Primary Merciless, and you kind of get like that screen shake effect when you don't have negative recoil, and I just hate that. So I put Deadhead on over Merciless. This weapon doesn't have a good headshot multiplier. It has a headshot multiplier of 1, so you don't get that much out of Deadhead over like Merciless, but that negative weapon recoil just makes it feel better. I hate like screen shake. It makes me feel sick when I'm using it. So yeah, I use this one. That's pretty much it for the build here. We're going to do a 10-minute Kuva Survival on Steel Path. And we are, of course, not going to use any kind of external factors. And so because of that, we're going to be using a Big Dumb Inaros with no Archon Shards. No mods that affect weapon damage. No arcanes that affect weapon damage. And with a pet with no Sentinel weapon. And no mods on the pet that affect weapon damage. All right, let me stop running my mouth and get into the Kuva survival here. So we're going to do this one first, and we're going to kill some trash, kill some acolytes, see how this does. I'm going to cast my 4 to double my armor, and that'll be the last time I use an ability. Everything else will be the weapon. And if I do at any point have to use an ammo pad, I'll make sure I say so. This weapon, it could be ammo hungry because it's not the strongest weapon, so you don't get like the most for your, you don't get a lot of kills like per ammo you're using. So there is a chance I could use an ammo pad at some point, but I'll make sure I say so if I do use it. Now, even though the alternate fire of this weapon is pretty weak, you're still going to want to cast it once in a while, especially like in a choke point, just so it can apply statuses for you. You're going to start off pretty weak because you got to get those deadhead stacks up, and once you get deadhead stacks up, you should be good to go. The alternate fire is going to take 4 bullets, or like 4 ammo supply every time you shoot it. And it does last for 10 seconds, so you don't have to like shoot it very often. You can just kind of let it stay for the full 10 seconds, and then just cast it every once in a while. It's going to be applying the exact same statuses that you're also applying, minus slash. I guess it could technically apply slash, but it has such a low crit chance it's not really going to apply it. You're going to see Eximuses. This weapon is not the best. It's not horrible. Hunter Munitions does help against Eximuses, but not that much. I mean, look at this Blitz in the back. He's still up, and I just put a whole magazine into him. So Hunter Munitions we are solely using for the extra status, basically. You get a little bit out of the slash procs, but sometimes people overestimate Hunter Munitions. It's actually not. The slash procs you get are dependent on the weapon you use. So on this weapon specifically, they're little. They're mini slash procs. They're almost unnoticeable as far as damage goes. But that extra status, because this weapon, Galvanized Aptitude, is multiplicative, that extra status adds a lot of flat damage, or multiplicative damage, I should say. It's also worth noting that this is actually Geyer's signature weapon, and so in Geyer's hand, she gets a little bit more multi-shot out of this. Not a lot, but a little bit more multi-shot. I think it's like 20%. I'm going to run over to this group of life supports, probably hit 1, 2, maybe even 3 of them. There you are. This is a very average weapon in terms of killing, kill time, things like that. Okay, let's see here. Oop, oh my goodness, I just fell off the freaking thing there. I'm showcasing my horrible parkour abilities. Okay, let me start getting some kills here. 'Cause at 10 minutes, average weapons, I usually get about 350 to 400 kills. Now, I would definitely rate this as an average weapon, so I'm going to expect that I'm going to be at like 350 to 400 kills. And when the Acolyte comes out, I think this will do pretty piss poor damage against the Acolyte. I think I'm going to be struggling against them. I don't think it's going to be as weak as some of the weapons I tested, but I think it's going to be pretty weak. We're going to have this little buddy on our shoulder. We're going to try to keep him as long as we can. Oh, he just fell off. Every time I say it, you know, he'll stay on forever, and then as soon as I say it, he falls off.
Extraction is ready.
So we're at 5 minutes. We haven't had an Acolyte yet. He should be coming pretty soon. There he is. So, you know, not horrible damage, but like this is usually not the damage you want to be doing to the Acolyte. You want to be killing him quick. You don't want him to be up for like, you know, 45 seconds beating on you. This is angst. He's going to keep teleporting like behind me. He's annoying. All right, he's dead. Again, not the worst I've tested, but definitely not the best Acolyte killer. So even though that alternate fire mode is pretty shit, like, don't sleep on it. Like, shoot it out once in a while, just because, especially in choke points, it's going to be applying the same status as you normally will apply, but, you know, when you go to shoot a weapon, if he has a full 10 stacks of viral on him because of that stupid alternate fire, hey, that's a plus. He's going to die even quicker. You know what I'm saying? So don't sleep on that alt fire. If it was expensive, if it was worth like an entire mag of ammo to shoot, I'd say hell no. But it's only worth 4 ammo, and it lasts for 10 seconds. It's not that bad. It's worth shooting like once every 10 seconds in a choke point. Alright, I might have to go get some more life support. This is not the quickest killer, so, you know, you're not going to be producing a crap load of your own life supports, unfortunately. Alright, let us head over to the other group of life supports, and then we'll start killing over in that location. Oof. This is the part of Kuva Fortress I hate. The maze part. So I actually haven't had any issue with my ammo since we've done this, so maybe I was wrong about this being very ammo hungry. Which is okay, because we didn't really do anything on the build that gave us more ammo. You know, we're going with terminal velocity instead of like rifle ammo mutation. So we have 1 minute and 20 seconds left, and then we'll see where we're at on kills. And then after this one, we're going to do a quick 10-minute Lua Conjunction, just because enemies there are going to be mixed, so they're not just all going to be Grineer, and they're also going to start at a higher tier. They'll start at like 180 to 200 instead. And we'll also have to deal with Thraxes, which are kind of like super Eximuses. And I have a feeling this weapon will struggle a little bit against Thraxes. I think it'll still get through the Thrax phases, though. And I believe this ball can actually cause self-stagger. I'm going to test it out real quick. I'm just going to throw it here and like sit on top of it. I think it can cause self-stagger. So when it does detonate after 10 seconds, just be careful. Yeah, it just staggered me there. Okay, so we're at 10 minutes. I'm at 439 kills, which is actually slightly above average. That's surprising. I thought this weapon was going to be very average. I mean, it is kind of very average, but it's a little bit above average as far as kills go. I'm going to kill this last Acolyte, and then I'm going to head out. So I don't really care about life support at this point, because Anaros can live through no life support. We have Misery. Misery, I can never remember if he's the Necros or if he's the Zephyr. If all of a sudden I can't do damage to him, I'm going to have to switch to melee. But I have a feeling he's the Necros.
Critical life support levels. Extraction is your best option.
Losing him in this room of enemies. Where are you? Is that you over there? I think it is. So we're at a life support now, which is okay. Again, Anaros can live through no life support. I just have to figure out where the hell this guy is. I think that's him. Nope, that is one of the Kuba Guardians. I think that's him back here. Is that you? Yes, it is. So again, not really the strongest Acolyte killer. Could be a lot better as far as Acolyte killing. But the punch through helps, because if you don't know where the hell he is, you know, you kind of look at his little icon and you just shoot through enemies. And again, this weapon is going to have innate punch through, innate infinite punch through, which it really needs, because this is a very average weapon. So, but that helps because then we can put on the big fire rate mod that we normally can't use. All right, let's head to extraction. And again, at the 10-minute mark, we got a little bit over 400 kills. I think it was like 430-ish, which is slightly above average. I mean, it's about average, but hey, not Nova. Thanks for following. Nice. How you doing today, Nova? I'm going to queue up the Lua Conjunction next, and then after the Lua Conjunction, we'll go over the build one more time. Not the Kuba Survival. Lua Conjunction. So it's going to be the Circular. It's going to be a little bit stronger enemies at 180 to 200, and they're going to be mixed enemies, so they won't just all be Grineer. And we're going to be forced to fight Thraxes twice. So they're going to kind of be like the super Eximuses that we have to get through.
Your weapons make music.
All right.
And the enemy calls for a song.
Do this. I'm going to cast my 4 to double my armor, and that'll be the last ability I use.
Stand by for life support.
I'm going to try to kill these Drac Masters because they like to steal my weapon. Again, the weapon's going to start pretty weak until you get your 3 stacks of Deadhead. So, get your 3 stacks of Deadhead up, and then you should be good to pretty easily kill everything. Most weapons are like that, though. You kind of have to like ramp up to get your either Deadhead or Merciless stacks up. And that little ball, that's going to be the alternate fire. So once in a while, just in a choke point, just throw that down. It doesn't hurt to do it. And it's just going to be applying statuses. It's not going to do significant damage, but it will apply statuses. Got my weapon stolen. They love doing this in Lua Conjunction. It's these little Drac Masters. I am going to slowly make my way over to, oh, there's no weapon yet, there it is. I'm going to slowly make my way over to the first set of life sports. One of the difficulties about Lua Conjunction is they will take a long time moving around the map. So if I was just to run to that life support without like slowly moving there, I wouldn't really have any enemies to kill there for a while until they moved there. And I don't know why that is. I mean, they're different factions, so like I think maybe they're fighting each other, but they're also all corrupted, so they're not technically different factions. All right, I'm going to hit this life support.
This would be an excellent place to deploy it.
We're going to fight in this room. Anytime you're using a single target weapon, if you have punch through, whether it's through Prime Shred or like this weapon has it innate, try to line enemies up. That's how you get the most out of single target weapons. For them to kind of be like competitive with meta weapons, or not meta weapons, AoE weapons. Because I mean, most of the time AoE weapons are going to be like kind of the meta because they just kill a lot of enemies. But you can make single target weapons as strong as AoE as long as you play them correctly. You want to line enemies up. Hit 1 or 2 more life supports because we're going to be getting the Acolyte pretty soon. And then at 5 minutes we'll get the Thraxes. At the 5-minute mark, average weapons will sometimes fail this test because they just don't kill quick enough, and especially they don't kill the Thraxes quick enough. So Lua Conjunction Thraxes actually suck your life support while they're up. So if you can't kill them quick enough, you will run out of life support and fail. So, and the problem with the 5-minute mark is that you usually have the Acolyte and the Thraxes at about the same time. So I got my weapon stolen. We're going to have the Acolyte coming here. Looks like it's going to be violence, which is not an issue. I'm going to try to kill him quickly because I have about a minute until the Thraxes come. Oh, as quick as the Alternox can kill.
Sentient is onto you. Look out for troopers.
Got 30 seconds till Thraxes come. Seconds till Thraxes. Alright, he's down. I think we've expended the life supports in this room, so I might make my way over to the next life support, but we're going to have Thraxes here in 7 seconds. Alright, here we go with Thraxes. I gotta switch to them and take them out quickly.
You need to leave. Extraction is ready. Hiding Lua and avoid risk the unfathomable.
So this is where Hunter Munitions is gonna kind of pull its weight right here. It's not gonna do significant damage, but it's gonna do okay damage against these Thraxes, and over time we'll kill them. We got one down. We're at 40% life support. We gotta be careful. We might have to run to a life support in the middle of this fight. Oh, second one's down. All right, I'm gonna head over to those life supports. I'm gonna probably have to hit both of them immediately. One's not up yet, but it'll be up by the time I get there. Okay, and then this one here, and then again the Lua spawns. We're probably gonna have to meet that big group of enemies like halfway, because otherwise we're gonna sit in this room with nothing to shoot at. Because Lua spawns are a little shitty. I mean, every map has a maximum amount of enemies that can spawn. It's just that for some reason, these enemies take forever to move from one location to another. I know there's Dragon Masters in that group, so I'm just kind of like going back and forth, hoping that they don't hit me. Got a few yellows there. That's nice. I'm kind of slowly moving this group backwards to where the next life support is spawning. Although, to be fair, I'll probably have to hit that life support immediately since I'm already under 60. Is a nice choke point right here, though. Should be able to farm up a good amount of yellows. Hey, McCraw! For Democracy. Did you get Helldivers also? I was thinking about picking that up today. I know a lot of people in the Discord have been playing Helldivers too. Oh, your apparition. Shit. Everyone's got different names like for all these things, so it's hard for me to remember sometimes. Yeah, you definitely have Helldivers too. Alright, oop, got my weapon stolen. I'm gonna go grab a life support over here, just because I'm at 50%. And then I think that's the last big life support that'll spawn in this room, and then it'll probably spawn in another location. But hey, we finally got the enemies in this room. They finally came here. Got another decent choke point up here. The weapon is stolen again from that Trackmaster. Hate those guys. So you don't have to be like super anal about like every 10 seconds using your alternate fire, but like if you see a big group of enemies or if you see a nice choke point, just go ahead and throw it out there. Again, not a significant amount of damage is going to be produced from it, but a good amount of statuses are going to be produced from it. It's going to be the same status as your primary fire is going to produce, but hey, if you can start primary firing on someone that already has 10 stacks of viral, it's just going to be that much better. So, like that's why it's kind of worth doing it. Gonna run over to this one, hit it, and then probably have to meet that group halfway. We're gonna get Thraxes in 40 seconds. Oh, the other thing I kind of wanted to... Oh, let me get these Thraxes first. I'm a bad multitasker. I can't talk and shoot at the same time. Where are these guys at? Are they all in ethereal mode? There they are.
These manifestations, they aren't from the neural soul tree. Destroy them. They are drawing from their life support.
And we're having the Acolyte here. So we're going to have the Thraxes and the Acolyte coming at the same time. Thraxes are going to be priority because they're the ones sucking life support while they're out. So we need to deal with Thraxes first, and then we can switch to the Acolyte. Even though I'm leaving it 10 minutes, I'm still going to try to assume... I'm going to try to play like I'm assuming I'm going to stay in the map. And so I'm going to try to maintain my life support. So there is going to be a point where I will have to run for that big life support behind me. Probably right now. Maybe. I want to kill this one Thrax at least. Come on. No. I have to run to it. Again, sometimes these average weapons fail this test. It at least got past the first 5-minute test, but the second one I don't think I'm going to be able to stabilize after these Thraxes, which is fine. Again, it did okay on the first 5 minutes. Oh my goodness, would you die? Is there like a leech eczema heal on him or something? Yeah, so I'm out of life support here. So if I had wanted to stay past the 10-minute mark, this weapon would have failed. Which, again, kind of to be expected. Average weapons... A lot of average weapons actually don't make it past the first 5 minutes when I do this test. So, hey, it made it past the first 5 minutes at least. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought this was much worse. Alright, now we're going to kill the Misery guy. There he is. Alright, Misery is dead. We'll head to Extraction. We're at 454 kills, which is pretty decent, actually. Like, again, slightly above average, so this weapon kind of surprised me. It's not gonna, you know, be amazing top 10 weapons in the game, of course, but it's an okay weapon. It's an average weapon, maybe even slightly above. We'll go to Extraction. We'll go over the build one more time. And that'll be it for the Alternox.
A valuable lesson.
Oh, like I was saying, I meant to kind of say it during this stream, or the video eventually it'll go up on YouTube. So I do videos Monday through Friday. So just in case anyone was like, oh, where was the videos for Saturday and Sunday? It's just because I kind of take off Saturday and Sunday, but sometimes, I mean, I love doing this. So sometimes I'm like, oh, you know, it'll be like a Saturday and I'm playing like Warframe or I'm playing another game and I'm like, oh, I want to put up a video. So sometimes I still will put up a video on Saturday or Sunday. But yeah, if you don't see a video on Saturday or Sunday, it's just because of that. Okay, so the Alternox, it is a primary assault rifle that shoots these like little electric pellets that have a little bit of travel time, and it also has an alternate fire that shoots a electric sphere that does some tick damage, and after 10 seconds, it'll explode. So the innate things about the Alternox are going to be that it comes with electricity. And one of the secret innate things that aren't really shown on here is that it has infinite punch through. So most of the time on a lot of my builds, I will use Prime Shred because this gives me punch through and fire rate. So I use Prime Shred basically as my fire rate mod. But on this weapon, you don't need to. So you can use the big fire rate mod instead. So Yep, those are the 2 innate things for the Alternox. I'm going to go back to my config A. Let me go back out and in. That way my little sheet here is clear.
Service your weapons.
And we're going to be using
Nice sound.
Galvanized Chamber for multi-shot, Galvanized Aptitude for status chance and direct damage per status type affecting the target. Now, on this weapon specifically, Galvanized Aptitude is going to be multiplicative on this weapon. Most weapons, Galvanized Aptitude is additive damage, but there are some specific weapons. There's like a sheet somewhere that I think someone either created or it's on like a wiki where you can kind of just go through and you can see which ones are multiplicative and which ones are additive. But there's a few weapons, not many, but there are a few weapons that are multiplicative instead of additive. And on the Alternox, Galvanized Aptitude is multiplicative damage, which is very good. That's like the really good damage you want. So we are producing 2 elements, which is okay. You know, for multiplicative damage, that's still worth putting Galvanized Aptitude on. But with Hunter Munitions, we're actually producing 3 elements because we're putting a slash proc on. So Hunter Munitions basically furthers the strength of Galvanized Aptitude. Now, the actual slash procs you get from Hunter Munitions are going to be pretty pitiful because, like, Hunter Munitions is good on weapons that do very, very high alpha damage because the slash procs you get are dependent on the damage of the weapon. So if you have some big, like, sniper rifle or bazooka, one slash proc, like, the first tick of damage is probably going to insta-kill the enemy. But on assault rifles that do small damage, the slash procs do such little damage that it's almost unnoticeable. And so most of the time on assault rifles, I will not use Hunter Munitions. But in this case, because Galvanized Aptitude is multiplicative damage, the slash proc you get actually adds more flat damage, well, not really flat, it's multiplicative, than Serration does. And so that's why we're going to go Hunter Munitions over Serration this time. Not Galvanized Acceleration, Vial Acceleration for the big 90% fire rate. This is the big fire rate mod. And we're able to use the big fire rate mod this time because the weapon has innate punch through, so we don't need to use Prime Shred. Because Prime Shred only gives us plus 55% fire rate, but it gives us that nice punch through. That's why we usually use Prime Shred. But this time, we get to use the big one, so plus 90% fire rate. And that negative 15 is flat damage, so don't even worry about that. I mean, just for reference, Primary Deadhead is going to give us 360% flat damage. So minus 15 of that. Not that big of a friggin' deal. So don't worry about that minus 15 damage of Vital Acceleration. Critical Delay and Vital Sense are going to be our crit chance, crit damage mods. And for anyone that either wasn't here or wasn't paying attention when I did it at first, I had tested this weapon. A lot of my builds, they use Critical Delay and Galvanized Scope, because usually using both of them, you can achieve a higher crit tier. That's not really the case with this weapon. Using both of these, using Critical Delay and Galvanized Scope, gets you into full yellow crits. Only using Critical Delay will get you into almost full yellow crits. So you're almost full yellow. You'll still get like a few non-critical white damage. And also only using Galvanized Scope is kind of the same thing, where you're not going to get into full yellows. You'll be almost full yellows with a few white non-crits. Now the option that you do have, Critical Delay is plus 200 crit chance. Galvanized Scope is plus 120, but then you get plus 40 and it stacks 5 times. So, I mean, I'm not great at math, but I think it's like, what, 320? So this could technically be 320% crit chance over 200. So that's up to you. This one is a conditional, though. So if you run out of enemies to shoot, like maybe you're moving locations or whatnot, for some reason you have Galvanized Scope stacks that start falling off, this will be weaker than Critical Delay. So if you're confident that you can keep your 5 stacks of Galvanized Scope up, then use that over Critical Delay. But at the end of the day, they still kind of achieve the same thing. You're still not getting into full yellows with either of them. With a full stack of Galvanized Scope, you're going to see very few white non-crits. And with using Critical Delay, you'll see a few white non-crits. So they're very, very similar. I'm personally going to use Critical Delay because it removes that like RNG factor of the scope stacks falling off. But that's up to you. Okay, I kind of over-explained that one a little bit. Next here, we're going to have Malignant Force and Primed Cryo rounds to make viral. if you don't have prime cryo rounds, use the 60-60 cold mod. The 90 cold mod is a little bit too in between. It's not enough flat damage to make it good, and it has no status, so it's kind of too much of an in-between mod. You either go for the 60-60 to give you some nice status, or you go for the 165 primed one to give you more flat damage. And if you're playing Whispers content, enemies in Whispers content are going to be resistant and immune to viral, so switch to Corrosive instead. Corrosive is going to slightly change your build because instead of doing viral and electric, let me back up a bit. Corrosive is going to change your build a little bit because the weapon has innate electric, so you're only going to have Toxin on to make Corrosive. So it's going to kind of be like up to you. You know, you do want to have multiple statuses because you get more out of Galvanized Aptitude. Like maybe in that case, like when you have that extra mod slot, like use Radiation. You can use Serration, I guess, for more flat damage. It'll change your build up a little bit going Corrosive when you're playing Whispers content. But for regular content, this will be the build with Viral. Terminal Velocity, just because the weapon has travel time, so that's a pretty easy pick. And then Primary Deadhead, because it's a big 360% flat damage. Gives you a little bit more headshot multiplier. The weapon has kind of a crappy headshot multiplier already. I think it's like 1, so it's not really anything. But you do get minus weapon recoil. And this weapon has like weird screen shake. Like it does have pretty high recoil. So you could use Primary Merciless, but I don't like screen shake. I hate screen shake. It kind of makes me feel sick. So I use Primary Deadhead instead. So yeah, it's pretty much the build there. So that is the Alternox. It is, I would say if you have the resources, it's worth building out. It's a fun weapon, works pretty good. It's average to like maybe slightly above average. I'd still probably call it average though. If you're hurting on resources, don't, build it out, of course, or build it out for Forma, or not for Forma, for Mastery, but don't like Forma it up. But if you have the extra resources, it is a fun weapon. But it's definitely not like a top tier weapon. It's nowhere near the top as far as damage capability goes. So yeah, that's the video. Hope you guys liked it. If you like it, give it a like, and thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a good day.